There are two ways to look at the JBL Tour Pro 3. They're earbuds with a state-of-the-art touchscreen case that happen to be outstanding, or top-notch wireless noise-canceling earbuds that happen to have a handy touchscreen case. Either way, their performance, comfort, and kitchen sink set of features elevate them from neat gimmick into game changer, and one of the best sets of all-purpose headphones I've ever tried. But let's start with that eye-catching case. This time around the screen is larger, 30% larger to be exact. And the Tour Pro 3s are capable of much more. That's saying a lot because the JBL Tour Pro 2 earbuds were my daily drivers for well over a year. I'd grab them in the morning for podcasts, then use them for walks, workouts, work meetings, and even serious music listening. They did so much right that I thought it was a little early for JBL to replace them. But the Tour Pro 3s add more functionality and sound even better while doing it. These earbuds connect to your phone using Bluetooth 5.3, a newer, more reliable version of the popular wireless technology. This generation features Bluetooth LE Audio and LDAC, two codecs that allow for streaming with less compression on compatible devices. Multipoint is on board, which lets you pair up to two devices at once. That's a nice thing to have for work, where you can pair to your phone and laptop and then quickly toggle back and forth. Then if you're listening to music, you can take a phone call or hop right on a Zoom meeting. Earbuds are only as good as their fit, both in terms of comfort and performance. With all the circuitry packed in, the overall design of these earbuds are larger than most. But it was something I got used to quickly, so it never felt overly cumbersome. That might be because JBL goes out of their way to make sure you have the right size ear tips. There are 5 different sizes of silicone ear tips, including size XS for smaller ears. They also include one pair of malleable foam tips, which were my favorite of the bunch. They expand to create a seal that helps with noise cancellation, but also helps reinforce bass response. JBL has improved their adaptive noise cancellation, which was already very good. A series of built-in mics work together with newer algorithms to read the room and then adjust the amount of noise cancellation in real time. I still have it a notch below the Sony XM5s and Bose QC Ultra earbuds. Those two cancel noise better than any other earbuds. But that's only one category, and we'll dive deeper into some comparisons a little later on. And when I use the Tour Pro 3s to mow the lawn, I could keep the volume at low levels and still hear podcast conversations clearly over the mower. At the office, it quieted a wide range of sounds, the HVAC system, loud discussions, the click-clacking of a coworker's mechanical keyboard, so I could just focus on work. You get up to 8 hours of battery life with noise cancellation and up to 11 hours without it. The charging case banks enough power to fully recharge the earbuds about 3 times, and just 10 minutes inside the case buys you enough power for about 3 hours of listening. I used them often during work shifts, on walks, and while I was doing chores throughout the day, and I never got to where I needed to recharge them right away. One of my favorite things is that it shows the percentage of battery life left for each earbud and the case right on the lock screen. I've actually gotten kind of spoiled with that when I'm testing other headphones. Which brings us to the long list of controls and information available on that touchscreen. Some of these features work in concert with the JBL headphone app on your phone. I'd recommend downloading it because it takes customization up a notch, but the case is ready to do a lot out of the box. The case let me play, pause, and skip tracks, adjust volume, select the level of noise cancellation or ambient sound, choose from different sound settings, and more. I could swipe through a plethora of features and settings with my phone out of reach. There are also touch controls on the earbuds themselves for pausing the music or toggling between noise cancellation and ambient sound. I found it a little strange that there was no touch control over volume, but I found myself using the case more often anyways. I guess we can't get enough of our screens. What are you going to do? The phone app gave me more fine-tuned control over many of the features, and it includes JBL's Personify 3.0. This personal sound calibration checks your fit and assesses your hearing profile, then tailors the sound accordingly. And here's a cool touch. You can customize the case's wallpaper by adding an image or design from your phone. One trade-off for having a case that does so much, it's bulky compared to some of the sleeker charging cases out there, like the Airpods Pro or the Sony XM5s. Still, if you're taking the train or getting on or off a plane, you can still just slip it right in your pocket or bag. I find it so much easier to travel with noise-canceling earbuds than over-ear headphones. And how's this for a travel hack? The charging case can double as a wireless audio transmitter. A USB-C to stereo mini cable is included. It helps connect the case to in-flight entertainment, a laptop, or anything else with a 3.5mm headphone jack. Then the case sends audio signals wirelessly to the earbuds, so you can use your good earbuds while watching an in-flight movie. It even includes a brand new feature called AuraCast that will let you broadcast the audio to other compatible headphones or devices. JBL uses a hybrid 2-driver system in each earbud. There's a dynamic driver dedicated to the lower end and mids, along with a balanced armature driver dedicated to the upper region. And to my ears, these earbuds were tuned precisely the way they should be. They deliver a clear, engaging sound that's linear and accurate. I'm not surprised. These earbuds were tuned using research from the sound engineers at Harman, JBL's parent company. Last year I visited Harman's research and development labs and spoke to Dr. Sean Olive, their head of acoustic research. While it seems like companies from all sectors are cutting back on R&D, Harman is doubling down on it. In these hallowed halls, Dr. Olive and his team led a monumental study into headphone listening preference. They developed the Harman Target Listening Curve, a distinct set of frequencies that is pleasing to a wide variety of listeners. It's become the starting point for tuning headphones, not only at Harman and JBL, but practically industry-wide. And the JBL Tour Pro 3s deliver the best incarnation of the Harman Target that I've heard in earbuds yet. You don't often feel bass in headphones the way you do with a subwoofer in a room, but that's exactly what happened from the opening thump of the bass line on Black Code Suite off LL Cool J's new album. The Q-Tip production hits hard without any embellishment or bloat in the low end, while the legendary MC's vocals, instruments, and backup vocals are all well separated. Higher frequency strings and guitar chords come in near the end of the track, presenting with plenty of detail in a smooth and pleasant way. These earbuds also take a major leap from the previous generation when it comes to spatial audio. It's something that Harman is betting big on. In fact, the centerpiece of their latest research is an ominous, imposing steel structure called the Hyperion Sphere. This mammoth, movable sphere measures how our brains perceive directionality in sound. When test subjects sit inside, they wear special earplugs with built-in microphones. Sound is played from the speakers that are positioned all around and even suspended above. The resulting data provides a pattern of how the ear responds to music from all different directions. It may seem like overkill to use this huge sphere to improve something as small as the Tour Pro 3 earbuds, but when I listen to certain Apple Music tracks mixed for spatial audio through them, it all makes sense. I listened to the Atmos mix of Harry Brandt's 26-minute orchestral piece, Icefield, and the sonic scope was uncanny. Directionality was at a level beyond the previous gen Tour Pro 2s, which were already better than most earbuds for spatial audio. A little background on this recording. It was from a performance in San Francisco at the Davies Symphony Hall, where orchestra members were strategically placed around the building. The strings were on stage as usual, while the horns and percussion sections played from the surrounding lofts and balconies. Through these low-profile earbuds, I was able to grasp the full magnitude of this sprawling symphony hall. New to the Tour Pro 3s, you can also use built-in head tracking. This keeps the sound field centered even as you move your head around. Again, a major trip when you're listening to the recording of Icefield. For a while now, I've called the Sony XM5s the best all-around wireless earbuds. And I still think that's the case when it comes to value and you take price into account, but man, is JBL making the conversation interesting. As noted, Sony's active noise cancellation is right up there near the top with Bose. But I prefer the out-of-the-box sound tuning of the Tour Pro 3s over the Sony XM5s. Still, with the Sonys you can adjust settings, dial back the bass a bit, and get a relatively linear sound. And of course, sound is subjective, so my preference doesn't translate to everybody. But again, JBL starts their research from a place of what satisfies the most people, and then they tune their headphones accordingly. From there, the other features are pretty neck and neck, so a lot comes down to the case and the features that are included with it. Bose can provide the most overall quiet that you get from a pair of earbuds, period. It's actually kind of unreal. So if that's the number one thing you're looking for, choose the Bose QC Ultra. Also, there are some people who just prefer that Bose fit. It kind of rests in the air versus going deeper down the canal like most earbuds. Those are two valid reasons to choose the Bose, but for pretty much any other head-to-head attribute, I'm leaning toward the JBL Tour Pro 3. For one, I haven't yet pointed out how clear phone calls are through these JBL earbuds. The strong built-in mics work alongside AI to filter out background noises. In fact, during a Zoom meeting, I apologized to someone about all the noise my kids were making in the room over, and they told me they couldn't hear anything but my voice. Which brings me to the Apple AirPods Pro 2. Since their release a few years ago, the AirPods Pro 2 have been my automatic recommendation for iPhone users. They just sync up so easily and work so well with Apple gear. And of all the Apple headphones, the AirPods Pro 2 are tuned closest to the Harman curve. But when it comes to pairing, phone calls, and snappy controls, the Tour Pro 3s seriously close the gap. And obviously with the touchscreen case, they do some things that the AirPods can't. So it really comes down to what features you need most. For example, the new update that essentially turns AirPods into a set of hearing aids is kind of mind-blowing. But using the JBL case to watch in-flight movies might be more important to you if you travel a lot. And since I value sound quality the most, I would lean towards the Tour Pro 3s. I think they even do spatial audio better than Apple themselves. But perhaps the most interesting comparison to the Tour Pro 3 comes from JBL themselves. The JBL Live Beam 3 has a smaller screen, only one driver per earbud, and a somewhat streamlined feature set. But for a lower price, it offers a high percentage of what I love about the Tour Pro 3s. They're also a little lighter, so I could see some preferring their fit. Noise cancellation is not as effective as the Tour Pro 3s, but it does a good job with day-to-day noises, and it handles the low-end rumble of my lawnmower well, which is usually a good barometer for how well it would handle plane engine noise. Speaking of planes, you lose the ability to use the case as a Bluetooth transmitter, and that's probably the most striking difference between the two. I mean, sound-wise, you're still getting that JBL Harman curve tuning, and it still has real presence and bite, but it's just that little extra something that you get with the JBL Tour Pro 3s. Like anything, it's, do you want the creme de la creme, or do you want to get oh so close and save a little bit with super solid earbuds? If the answer is you want it all, well, that's why the JBL Tour Pro 3 earbuds were created. I always shy away from the phrase future-proof, but these are some of the most advanced, top-performing wireless earbuds that you can get today. And I think a lot of these features will still be impressive and a joy to use for years to come. If you have any questions about them or any other headphones, contact us here at Crutchfield. We're happy to help.